Hello everyone, welcome to Nights at the Round Table. I'm Luca and this is TJ. We're using Zoom this
Hello
time
there.
because it makes our screens bigger. And for tonight's movie we are doing I'm Thinking of Ending Things on Netflix.
All right, Luca, explain this movie.
Okay, so I'm Thinking of Ending Things is about a girl named Lucy who is having second thoughts on her relationship with Jake because she's worried she's gonna hurt her boyfriend, who she likes and holds a lot of respect for. Like they have similar interests. They're both in poetry, and she's worried she's gonna hurt him. So TJ.
And this is Jake.
Yeah, Jake. His name's Jake.
So I don't. Never mind.
All right, what are your thoughts on the movie?
I very much enjoyed it. I found it a very enjoyable, unsettling, and just dense film. Yourself?
I liked it. It gets bizarre in some scenes, but I still find the poetry scenes to be enjoyable.
Poetry scenes.
Like the scenes where we hear her inner monologue.
Yeah, that's not really poetry, but still. But yeah, I did like those scenes. It's a very dialogue heavy film. How'd you find that? Because personally I found that worked.
I think the dialogue is consistent. It's very it gives vivid details on the scenery, and it uses some very subjective words.
All right, I felt like the dialogue itself I thought was very well done. Like it feels very grounded and yet also bizarre, which fits the tone of the film. And it's also, but more I'm referring to how it's super present throughout the film. Like there's long scenes, notably when she's in the car, notably like when they're driving through the car. There's a lot of driving in this film where they just talk and talk. Did that work for you? Did that work for you?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Anyways, that worked for me too. This film can be very slow at times, which can turn off some people. But I don't want to get into spoilers, but just as a quick little thing to keep it going, if you decide to watch this film, there is a scene where a naked old man follows a cartoon pig, like a 2D animated pig through a
School hallway.
School hallway. Thank you.
Why did they do that?
You're bored, just watch until you see that.
Why did they do that?
What?
Why did they do that?
We can explain that later. But I think for the film it fits. Like it's very nightmarish, which this whole film is very nightmarish.
Yeah.
I'll get into why I think that it. I can get into why I think that is later. But so, but yeah. So just how do you find the tone of the film? Like, how did it make you feel?
Tone. I'd say the tone is a mix of edgy and joyful. Mostly edgy though.
I wouldn't call it edgy. It's more
deep.
It's more depressed. I'm trying to think how would I describe it how would I describe the tone. It's less like edgy implies it's just being dark for no reason and just brutal. I would say it's more melancholic, depressed. Let's see, anxious. this film feels very anxious. And there is definitely some joyful spurts here and there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah, it is very. And also, like, I found it very unsettling. Did you find it unsettling?
Um, the thing I find unsettling about the movie is when Jake gives Lucy a tour of the family barn, and
Yeah, that
and
is.
when they and when she sees the Jake's parents fluctuate their age.
Yeah, that is a great scene. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is actually big. Like my grandparents do live on a farm, so this gave me some flashbacks to that. Not really flashbacks. It reminded me of this. That's about it. But yeah, there is this film. Like it's not just those scenes, although those are pinnacle elements. It's also just throughout. You gotta drink. Just gonna take a quick swig of water.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's parts where just that there's parts in the film that just repeat themselves, like dialogue. The editing especially feels very bizarre. Like going back to the farm scene, for instance, there's just that hard cut to the dead lambs, which did remind me of my grandparents' place. Won't get too deep into that. Which there isn't. I guess the internet connection. There is, yeah, and it's just it feels so like it is it's easy to make, say, a monster creepy and unsettling, but a family meeting, that is some that takes creativity, and I do it quite well.
I'd say the family meeting is worse than seeing a monster by far.
Yeah, well, it's the way they treated it, but it feels very, yeah, but it is just very creepy, and yeah, trying to think what word how to describe without being creepy. I guess we should get into the performances because how did you find them?
I find them to be wonderful.
Yeah,
Like they seem very into it.
yeah. There's a, yeah.
Yeah.
There's I agreed. It is very much nuanced. Like especially like near the beginning where it's almost like Jake can hear what's her name,
Lucy.
Lucy's thoughts.
Yeah,
That is
almost.
like it almost seems like that, which yeah, can be interpreted. And oh yeah, there's also a lot of weird inconsistencies, which appears throughout the film. But yeah, but never mind. Like the parents also do a great job. They feel very convincing at both being very old and very young. Like don't want to get too much into spoilers, but we do see their age
Yeah.
and it's very convincing. And so let's get into some spoilers if we don't mind.
Hmm.
So what do you think this film was about?
I think it's about a girl who is deciding whether or not she should stay with this guy or not, all the while reciting poetry in her head that relates to her daily challenges.
It's not all poetry, but I that's that's a narrative of the film. But personally, I think the underlying narrative is it is all from what's his name, Jake's perspective, or at least someone's perspective. This gets into spoilers because so throughout the film we do follow this old janitor, which is implied to be Jake. At least I found them to be implied to be Jake, and I think it is essential. Okay, so here's my hot take on the film. And mind you, I've seen it once. I'm sure I'm gonna. There's a lot to be explored in this film, most of which I haven't seen. But from my perspective, it is basically this janitor on his last day of his life, looking back in regrets at this relationship which just didn't work out. which is, and I do like we also like a lot of the recurring elements do reflect this, like the recurring idea of decay and just what's the word,
Dying.
forgetfulness and all that good stuff, and also nostalgia, like with say Oklahoma and cartoons and what's that the ice cream place. And this, yeah, and essentially just follow him from the last day of his life, from getting up when we see all the wallpaper to just his last day at the school when he just it seems like he dies in his car, apparently stripping naked.
Yeah. Looks like he was having a panic attack.
He was.
Yeah.
That maybe just a heart attack. I think there was also, I guess that was a lot of pigs in this movie. Like the pig we didn't mention. Like for those of you who are still watching, shame on you. Go watch it on Netflix. But also, like there's a lot of recurring pig imagery in there. Like we mentioned, the cartoon pig, which is also a callback to he tells the story of two like these pigs and the horrific way they die, which I'm not gonna spoil. It's just which I think it is, which is a that's my best guess. It is very. I do find the pig to be some symbol of death, or maybe just a memory. Although this film is just so dense with so many literary references and so much just stuff, and just I'm sure there's a much deeper meaning in here. That's just my hot take on the whole thing.
I don't think it's about the old man specifically. I think the old man is just put in to embody loneliness. However, I do agree that he also represents like Jake when he was young. He was worried about like not being friends with anyone or like growing up without a girlfriend. But I think it's about Lucy and Jake, and I think the old man. I think the movie transitions to the old man to represent loneliness. And
All right.
I think the Lucy is just worried about hurting her partner.
Hurting Jake's feelings. Just imagine. There's just a lot. I'm sure I'm not taking it. I guess we should just talk about Charlie Kaufman before we get to
Who?
at the end. Have you seen any of his films?
Who?
Charlie Kaufman wrote the screenplay.
Oh,
Charlie Kaufman. He
I
wrote
know.
the screenplay for it.
I know. No, I have not. This is my first film by him.
Yeah. I don't. He didn't direct this, I'm sure, but he did. I've watched a few of his film. I've watched two of his film. I watched Inside Malkovich. That would be a great movie for another night. And also the first quarter of Synecdoche, but I was in the mood, so I didn't finish that. But still, so not too familiar with the director. Well, the screenwriter. Yeah. What else is there? Anything you? So what are some things you liked, didn't disliked, or anything like that?
I can't really think of things I disliked, but I like the scene where Lucy sees Jake's parents become older in the house. I like the car scenes where they bond over poetry and movies, and
Yeah.
I think the musicals at the end were very imaginative and representative.
Yeah. It also is very yeah. Not much more to say. Not much more. I do like that little image where Lucy's just going down the same set of stairs over and over again. It's part of the whole parent scene.
Yeah, it's a good.
Yeah, I found it great. Anyways, so
It's a good way of
I
showing
found
her pondering.
and also just I think it does Alzheimer's. I think it also goes into the Alzheimer's idea.
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's, whatever, Alzheimer's. Forgetting things. Anyways, I enjoyed this comes to the end. I think this film is great. I think this film is great. How about you? What do you think this film?
I think it's a solid film. The bizarre moments in the film are a little over the top, but they still work. I like how the main character is always thinking to herself and coming up with these very deep and edgy lines. She describes the scenery very well, and I just I like when Jake and Lucy stop at the school, and we see all these musicals going on.
Yeah. Bleak. I wouldn't, with all due respect, I wouldn't really call it edgy. Like, why would you call it edgy?
Edgy because it's very deep.
Edgy doesn't exactly. Well, bleak. I would call it more bleak. Edgy doesn't exactly mean. I wouldn't. I don't think edgy exactly means deep. I think edgy is more like excessively dark, which the film is dark. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't call it excessively dark. Like there is themes. I think it's. Although I would agree, it is very thoughtful.
It's dark.
So would you recommend? Who would you recommend this film to?
I'd recommend it to people who are into romance films.
Say good.
Romance films, or if you're into films that have that are surreal.
Yeah. I would say. Who would I recommend it to? I would say it's not for the faint of heart. It's very bleak and just kind of depressing. So if you're not in the mood for that, I wouldn't recommend it. It's also just strange. So if you're not really in the mood for that, again, not recommend it. But if you want something that is an interesting film experience will probably make you think. I don't know who you are, who you are, so I can't speak for you. Like, I would recommend it. It's on Netflix. It's a good watch, and yeah, it's a good film. So, Luca, what do you want to do next week?
Next week, I want to review Song of the Sea.
Song of the Sea. Sounds good. All right, thank you for your time.
Bye, TJ.